Hello and welcome to Twin Peaks.
Hi.
Twin Peaks reaction. Mackenzie, my daughter, is watching Twin Peaks for the first time.
Yeah.
And when we were last here,
Yes.
she was watching this little man. This little man shaking and dancing around. And then Dale Cooper woke up from the dream and...
I gotta tell you something. I know who it is. Oh, yeah, I know who it is. And my prediction was right. That nothing was going to happen next episode. Nothing important happened.
Even so, he says, I know who killed Laura Palmer.
I know who killed Laura Palmer. He doesn't know.
Because Sheriff Truman, I assume, says, well, I'll be right over. This can't wait.
Yeah. And then he goes, it can wait till morning. Okay, but here's my question. When he called, do you think he... Because he says, like, oh, I forgot. Do you think when he called, do you think he knew?
Because Laura leans over and says the name of the killer. Yeah. And he says that he doesn't remember.
Yeah. But, like, when does he forget is my question. Because he wakes up.
So he might have known.
And he might have known, but he didn't, like, write it down or tell it to Diane.
Okay. All right, so we're getting into 2 episodes today.
Yeah.
They are the first one we're talking about is called "Rest in Pain."
Yes.
So this is the where we have the
go
funeral.
To coffee.
The funeral happens in this episode. But first, it starts off with coffee between Dale and Audrey. So let me just get your impressions from these. I'll show you some of the images. You can tell us what you remember, and and the main thing that we're trying to do, because Mackenzie's watching it for the first time, I'm interested in her detective work, so I'm keeping track of who she thinks the suspects are.
I'm gonna be so wrong.
And at the end of episode 3, the #1 suspect on her list is Nadine.
Nadine, it's Nadine's.
And the number 2 suspect is Andy.
Yeah.
And the number 3 suspect
is
the dad, Leland Palmer. All right, so let's find out what your thoughts are, and then we'll touch base at the end and find out where you stand as far as who's your main suspect. Maybe it's the same, maybe it's changed. Okay, so what do you think of what's going on here?
I thought it was interesting. He's checking her handwriting, which is like the first real detective thing we've seen him do.
Because he's matching the handwriting, so he knows that she left a message saying, do you remember what the message says?
It says the one-eyed Jack.
One-eyed Jack.
Yeah.
Jacks.
One-eyed Jacks. But here's the thing. That just leads me back to my conclusion that it's the one-eyed woman, Nadine.
Okay.
It doesn't help me.
Or maybe it does help you.
Maybe it does. Maybe I figured it out, and I'm a genius.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we have, this is before the
funeral.
And Bobby.
I like this one.
Bobby's talking. What do you think of Bobby and his father?
His father is very odd.
Yeah.
I'm finding him highly disturbing as a person. I don't know why, but like that guy, something's not right.
Are you feeling like bad vibes? Like
I'm feeling bad vibes, but also like just off vibes.
Okay.
Because he smacks the cigarette out of his mouth. I get that.
That's a great scene.
Because
the cigarette goes.
Yeah. But like, there's something going on with that guy. He's hiding something.
Okay. So
also, when's his work? He's in uniform. When's his work?
He's always in uniform.
He doesn't have a rank.
Never at work.
He doesn't have a rank. Where's his rank? What is it?
All right. Okay. Do you know what rank he is? Have you caught on to what his name is? Okay.
What's his name?
His last name's Briggs. I want you to pay attention.
Is it like Colonel Briggs?
I want you to pay attention to see what it is, and you can remember. You should be keeping a notebook.
I'm kind of keeping a notebook.
You've got your iPad.
I have my iPad.
All right, who's this, and what's your take on this person?
Oh, it's Laura with different hair. Is
Laura still alive?
It's her not twin, it's her cousin. But I think it's gonna end up being her twin because that's just such a they look like they're the same age. I don't think she said if they're the same age or not. But to me, it's such a soap opera thing to say like, oh my gosh, we were twins.
Okay. So you think it might turn out to be her sister?
I think it might turn out to be her sister. If not, cousin also works.
Okay.
I like the actress.
So
this is the first time we have our main suspect next to the agent.
So
I was so excited.
Nadine and Cooper are next to each other. Yeah. This is attending the funeral. So it's a very dramatic funeral.
Yeah.
There's Mrs. Palmer, and there's
we
haven't talked about Johnny. Yeah, the dad ends up being on the coffin going up and down.
Yeah.
So Johnny, we haven't talked about him, and I should have taken a photo of Dr. Jacoby and Johnny are having a moment together. So what do you think of Johnny and his relationship with Laura?
Yeah, I thought, honestly, on the surface, it seems kind of sweet. Like, I don't think that there's anything. I mean, like, there's probably going to be something like, "Whoa, scandalous," but I kind of. Right now, I feel like they kind of just had like a brother-sister kind of relationship, like caretaker, like older sister.
So that was
even though he's
a genuinely good relationship between Laura and Johnny.
Yeah, I kind of think so because he seems. We've only ever seen like him say "Amen," like that's all he said.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I thought that was kind of sweet, to be honest.
And so your take on in this scene, so we've got this dramatic thing happening.
Yeah.
And then shortly afterwards, we see Shelley
who's
reenacting it, and they're laughing about it in the diner. Yeah. So what's your and then of course I don't have an image of this, but Bobby just goes off and yells. Yeah, right. The preacher says some nice words. Each other. Yeah, James and Bobby fight. So do the events of the funeral, they're obviously showing the characters in action, but do the events of the funeral reveal anything for you?
I think if it is the dad, then it makes the funeral to me kind of tells a story.
Okay.
If it is the dad who committed the crime, who killed her or
what story would that tell?
It tells us the story of like everyone's distracted while the main event is happening, right? Like the main event is that he lands on the coffin. And then everyone else is like, we're gonna fight. And then like, I'm gonna
be fighting yelling. While he's on the coffin.
Yeah. So he's the closest to Laura in my mind. So it's like, okay, if he's the killer, then that would make sense for him to be like the only one with Laura.
Then this would be regret instead of just grief,
right? Yeah, like grief and regret.
Okay.
And like I know grief comes in all forms, and like you can look guilty, but actually just be grieving.
Sure.
But how did he know that his daughter was dead? How did he know?
Going back to the pilot episode,
how did he know?
When he's on the phone with his wife.
Yeah.
All right. Then we've got Catherine Packard, and we've got this plot with Catherine and Josie.
Yeah.
Josie. What are your thoughts on Josie?
Josie is pretty neat. She's kind of like the smartest, coolest character.
The smartest, coolest
character? Well, like other than, the agent.
Agent Cooper.
Yeah, Agent Cooper. Agent Cooper and Josie seem to be like the smartest. And she's also like the only one worried about her own safety, which is kind of wild. Yeah, right? Like, I think the twin and all the other girls in the town should be like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't go out at night. And Josie is the only one who's like, yeah, I'm a little scared. I'm a little worried about my safety.
That's true. That's very true. That's a very good point. So you were talking about how this girl Maddie has come to town without her parents.
Yeah.
And she looks very much like Laura Palmer, whose murderer is presumably still in the area.
And who very well may have been like a psycho, kind of like driven by sexual urges. And she's like, yeah, I think it's a good time to go take a visit down there and not show up at the funeral.
Oh, I think she is at the funeral.
Is she at the funeral? Because I felt like she wasn't there.
That's her with the sunglasses.
That's her? Oh, I couldn't tell. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. So, like...
By the way, side note, sort of meta, I love that they continued to cast the woman who plays Laura Palmer.
She's great as the twin, and she's great as Laura. I like her a lot. Yeah. Like as an actress, she's great.
Yeah. Oh wait, I think I'm getting it wrong. I think it's Cheryl Lee. I think
Cheryl Lee. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got the sawmill plot, and then we've got this character. So this is Jacques Renaud.
Oh, Jacques, the cocaine smuggler,
bartender guy,
Canadian man.
All right. So
there was a big Canadian drug other than like over the counter.
The border. The border of Washington and British Columbia. A lot of shady stuff going on over there. They should.
It's a very different look for Canadians.
Yeah. So what do you think of Jacques?
He's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So right now Jacques just runs away when he says like, oh, there's a signal, there's in trouble.
Which is smart. Okay. Like if you're going to be a bad guy. Yeah.
Do you have any predictions? Do you think he's going to come back? Do you think he's significant to the story? I think he's probably
going to come back. His brother is apparently dead. I think he's probably important, but in a way that's more important to know Laura than to know how she died.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here we have one of my favorite characters, Hawk. Deputy Hawk. What are your thoughts on him?
I like Deputy Hawk. He's really cool. I thought it was interesting what he was talking about with the dreams. I know that's going to come into play more because it's David Lynch. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the most...
He talks about souls,
important,
too.
Yeah. It's probably the most important dialogue we've had so far.
Do you... Okay, that's interesting. Do you remember some of the things that he says?
Yeah, he talks about the soul and why he's like, oh, there's many spirits. Because he asks, do you believe in spirits? And he says, there's many spirits. And while
I think he says, if I remember correctly, Dale asks, do you believe in the soul?
That's right. It's not the spirits. It's the soul.
It's the soul.
Yeah. And he says, many.
Yeah, many.
Many souls. And I like that idea.
Okay.
And then it's also like, oh, they walk the dream world. And then I loved when Agent Cooper asks him, he's like, is that where Laura is? About the dream realm kind of thing. And he just goes, all I know is that she's in the ground. And I thought that was such a cool, down-to-earth answer. I loved that. All I know is that she's in the ground. And then they, like, go help her dad, who's dancing.
That's right. He's dancing.
He's dancing
and he wants people to dance with him, and then they take him out. And that's how the episode ends, with him going, being escorted out.
Yep.
We haven't talked about this guy. Do you remember his name?
He's a FBI agent we've never seen a badge of.
It's Albert. So he's doing the autopsy.
Yes.
Any thoughts on Albert?
Oh, Albert's interesting. I like when he got punched.
Were you glad that Sheriff Truman punched him?
Not necessarily. No. I just liked that scene.
Okay.
There was something very like, I'm better than you because I have credentials. And then the sheriff just goes, punch. And he's like, ow, why'd you do that? I guess you're better than me. I don't know why I appreciate it so much. Like the punch just...
Do you think the punch made him respect the sheriff more? Oh no, Albert only respects people who punch him. But he is trying to file a complaint.
Yeah, he is trying to file a complaint. But I do love that he's just like, oh, I guess that's fine. Like he's not like gonna throw another
I should have expected it. All right. Well, let's just take a moment to love Leo's sweater.
I love his sweater.
Look at this sweater. And
it's so good.
And you know what? God bless the internet, because look what somebody's made. Somebody has made a Twin Peaks styled sweater in Leo's honor that is for sale.
Oh my God, I might need to get one.
All right, so I think we can agree that Leo is a crap bag.
Yeah, but he's got a nice sweater.
He's got a nice sweater, surprisingly.
Yeah.
And he's he's a murderer, apparently, because he had that body. He's killed Jacques' brother.
Or maybe that's just not even a body. That could just be laundry.
Maybe it's a rug with some boots sticking out.
Yeah.
Maybe Leo's completely
maybe he's
so what are your thoughts on Leo as far as Leo and any sort of connection to Laura and her life or her death?
I don't think he killed her. Okay. I know, but here's the thing. We know that we at least have suspicion to think that he killed someone. With what we're given, we should think that he killed someone. And
there's blood on the jacket that Bobby puts into Jacques' apartment.
But here's the other thing. We don't know that he put blood on the jacket because he's like, where's my jacket? Where the hell is my jacket? And she's the one who hides the jacket. She's like pretending like he's not allowed to see the blood. Like he wouldn't know that there's going to be blood on his jacket. That's the weird thing to me.
Because he never says, hey, where's my jacket? I was bleeding on it.
I got blood on it and I got to wash it. He's like, where's my jacket? You lost my jacket again.
Okay. So we also don't know
whose
whose blood it is.
Yeah.
If I remember
It
correctly.
could just be, it could be mud. We can't tell that it's red.
I spilled Kool-Aid.
Oh no!
Well, this is a pretty dark scene, but near the end of the episode, Jacoby comes to visit the grave. And so what are you thinking Jacoby about Dr. Jacoby?
Okay, so
he also gets interviewed with and does
the golf ball trick.
Talks about Hawaii.
And he also talks about how any type of medication is good. He's like, cocaine's good for you. So I think.
We're never going to be monetized, by the way, because of that statement. Cocaine's good for you, everybody.
I'm saying it ironically.
We're paraphrasing Dr. Jacoby.
Yes.
Who acts like, at least she was reaching out for some kind of medication.
Which is the wrong assumption.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Basically, don't go and see Dr. Jacoby.
Yeah, he seems
terrible. But do you think that, in addition to being a terrible therapist, do you think there's anything criminal
I think that he is connected to the drugs. Because there's somebody we don't know who was like standing in the dark when the football scene happened, and I think it's him. Oh, okay. I think he's connected to the drugs.
So he might know about the drugs.
Yeah.
All right. So starting the next episode that's titled The One-Armed Man, Donna and Audrey are going to team up. Do you think they'll be good crime solvers? Do you think that they're going to get into more trouble than...
They're probably going to get into more trouble. It's also incredibly dangerous. They're like, yeah, I'm going to do these
things. It's a fun adventure. Look, you smoke in a bathroom, you talk about your theories, and you go out into the world to solve a crime.
Honestly, the thing that interested me more in this scene was the wallpaper. It looks like two different heartbeats. One has flatlined and one still continues.
Wow.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I was way more intrigued by that than I was by their conversations.
Nice. That's a good...
Because like twin, we got a new girl who looks exactly like Laura, except for her hair. And so to me it was like, oh yeah, okay, twin. One has died and one's still alive. Great. Fantastic.
All right. I like that a lot. What do you think of this guy? This is
this is the husband of the lady who owns the restaurant.
Hank Jennings.
I think I like him. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if he killed that woman's husband. If he was like hired to kill, because he killed somebody or manslaughtered.
Well, he sends Josie the domino thing at the end of this episode, and then he's like chewing or sucking on the domino.
He's like, he has the domino all the time.
So so do you think that he did something to Josie's husband?
I think that he might have been hired to do something to Josie's husband by the aunt and the uncle. Or not, no, it's not an aunt, it's like the sister-in-law.
Yeah, Pete and I don't
know.
Catherine.
They seem more aunt and uncle than they do sister and brother-in-law.
Yes, that's true. Because they're very different age,
old.
Right?
Yeah,
age gap.
I don't know how old her husband was.
But you kind of find him charismatic?
Yeah, I kind of do. Okay. There's something about him that's like, yeah, I like that.
If you are on his parole, would you give him another chance and
send
him out in the world?
Like, I honestly, it's like his wife's like, yeah, I'm going to give him a job. She's very down to earth about like, yeah, I'd tell him that he's maybe killed somebody.
Okay.
Like, we know he killed a man because he was jealous. So I'm thinking it's the husband, but I don't know.
Okay. Here is Shelley practicing very poor gun maintenance.
Everyone practices
but Shelley's the worst. So Shelley has this gun.
No, she's not.
Oh,
Andy. The worst.
During this scene, you mean?
That scene and the scene where they're practicing with the guns. They're like, okay, great, let's get some practice in. Ready? Rapid fire. Bang, bang, bang. Okay. That's terrible.
So with Andy dropping his gun like that, where does he stand on your suspect list?
He is overly bad at everything, and my pie is beeping. I'm making a pie. I gotta check on my pie.
All right. Well, we will end this broadcast and we'll do a sequel to the rest of this. Say goodbye before you go.
Goodbye. Gotta check on my